So I met Rene Marie in 2004. I was a junior at Florida State University, and we did a jazz festival. It was called the Midtown Jazz Festival. We were opening for Mulgrew Miller, and it was a group that Leon Anderson, who's the jazz director of jazz studies at Florida State, he had a group, he had a quintet, and he brought in Rene as a special guest. So she was living in Atlanta at the time, I think, and she drove down to Tallahassee, and the festival was on a former slave plantation, deep in the South, and when she was driving down through, it's a long drive between Atlanta and Tallahassee, simply because it's just a lot of winding 2-lane roads. And she was in her drive down. She said, "You know what?" She saw all the trees hanging over. She said, "You know what? We're gonna play Strange Fruit." And so she has a version of Strange Fruit that's really, really powerful, along with many of her other tunes. And it was one of my first out-of-body musical experiences as a jazz musician. We're on a former slave plantation playing Strange Fruit. And it was just like, whoa. And she's basically crying through her voice. And her body is shaking. And we're just like, and I was just blown away. And I immediately became a fan, and I immediately knew that I wanted to work with Rene at some point. And then I moved to New York, and they played Dizzy's twice a year. And so every time they would play, I would go sit in, I would go hang out, because Rodney and Quentin are some of my best friends, and Kevin Bales. And so I would go up and sit in with them on a tune, and I would always give Rene my records. Yeah, I just did this record, I did this record. She always said, "No, I like the way your tunes go. I like the way you write for horns." And one day I'm gonna do a record and I want to have horns on it. So I was like, "Oh, okay, that's gonna be fun." So I never thought that she would actually do that type of album. And then of course I'm sitting in my office at MSU and brrr, "Hello, Etienne, it's Rene. How are you doing?" "Hey Rene, how are you doing?" "So remember I was telling you about that record with some horns? Well, I want you to write some horns for, I'm doing an Eartha Kitt tribute record." I said, "Wait, hold on." And that was the I Want to Be Evil. And so it was a dream come true to get to work with Rene. It was a dream come true to get to play Eartha Kitt, play the music of the Eartha Kitt book. And it was a dream come true to get to write for musicians that I was so familiar with on so many different levels. And so, I got to take a lot of liberties, and writing for Rene is fun because she sings off of what you write, and I wrote off of the way she sings. So it was a great blend of the two. Sometimes on a record that's arranged, there's too much of the arranging and there's not enough of anything else. But Rene was going all out, and I made sure to stay out of her way in a sense, because her voice is so rich, and she can be so edgy in her phrasing, and yeah, she got a Grammy nomination for it. I'm so proud of her. She toured endlessly on that, and they're still touring. And just watching her, she's still growing as an artist, even as great as she is, but watching her grow to be familiar to so many people now is really enlightening to see that. So I'm really proud to say that I had something to do with that. I got a chance to have something to do with the album.
So Lee, it's blinking red.
Yes, it's okay.
Is that okay?
That's good. That's supposed to.
Okay.
All right.
I'm not the tech person.
Beautiful.
Great, thank you.
Mergner.